I have a pen. I have a fountain. Fountain pen. So I recently bought a fountain pen because a friend recommended it to me. He knows I love line sketching and thought I would enjoy working with a fountain pen as well. It's been a while since last I used one, not since my elementary school days actually, I think. I remember how much I loved writing with fountain pens back then because it made me feel grown up and sophisticated, yeah. However, I was too scared to draw with anything other than pencil back in those days. Anything that couldn't be erased and was as permanent as ink seemed too intimidating. In high school and university, I switched to ballpoint pens for writing because they were more affordable and didn't feel as fancy as fountain pens. So I just needed to write stuff down quickly. Now that I've transitioned to drawing exclusively with pens and fine liners, it only makes sense for me to try out fountain pens once more. I must admit, I'm also inspired and maybe a little bit envious of Chroma Moma and their awesome blue pen sketches. So I decided to listen to my friend and bought myself a Faber-Castell fountain pen at a great discount because, as most of you know, I'm still living that thrifty student life. My relationship with the new fountain pen didn't start off so smoothly though. I thought I had ordered ink with it, but alas, my arch nemesis Captain Inattentiveness struck again. No worries though, I ordered an ink converter so I could use the India ink I already had at home. Additionally, to imitate Chroma Moma a bit, I also bought a couple of blue ink cartridges. I was eagerly awaiting the arrival of the cartridges and also the converter so I can start having some fun. Since I hadn't used a fountain pen in a long time, I decided to quickly search for some how to get started with fountain pen videos here on YouTube. I made sure to wash out the pen so there are no obstructions. I filled the converter with the India ink and positioned the pen vertically, nib downwards, to allow the ink to flow through. And that's when the fun didn't begin. The ink didn't flow properly. Some ink accumulated at the bottom of the nib, but not at the tip. I tried applying varying pressure, shaking the pen, even screaming at it, but it just didn't want to work, despite there being ink at the base. I even attempted to twist the converter to increase the ink flow, which resulted in the base of the nib starting to drip ink, but still not at the nib tip. Nib tip, that's a funny word. After struggling like this for a while, the nib eventually started working, but it was scratchy and the ink flow was far from ideal. I decided to leave it positioned vertically, nib pointing downwards, overnight, hoping it would resolve the issue. Well, if the solution was to fill the cap with ink and have everything get stuck together, then congratulations, I succeeded. I had to spend some time cleaning it and removing the dried ink. It was clear that my initial approach wasn't working. So I decided to switch to blue ink cartridges. I knew there might be some ink mixing, but I didn't mind too much. With the converter replaced by a cartridge, I gave it another try, and guess what? Nothing. Why did I accept it to magically work? I'm smart like that, I guess. Back to more Googling and YouTube searching for solutions. Eventually, I ended up washing the pen multiple times with very warm water. I even poured freshly boiled water through it and let it soak in boiling water overnight. Though, obviously it had cooled down by the morning. Or within a couple of hours at least. Or minutes, actually. The next day, I reinserted the blue ink cartridge and this time it actually worked. Despite soaking all night, there must have still been some black ink residue, resulting in a slight mixing between the black and blue. Nevertheless, I was finally able to draw with it. And draw I did. Well, that may sound braver than I actually was. You see, with fine liners, I'm comfortable and not bothered by the sketchiness of my lines. I know that in the end, it will turn out fine. However, when I look at artists like Chroma Moma or Keezoo Sketch, whom I just discovered and who does some awesome urban sketching time videos with fine liners, I'm always amazed at how well they draw their subjects without construction lines. It seems that while construction lines are essential in industrial design sketching, I've become overly dependent on them. That's one of the reasons I decide to stick with the fountain pen. I want to force myself to think a little bit more before I start drawing. I want to try visualizing what I want to draw before putting the lines on paper. By purposefully sketching here and there with this blue ink, I hope to achieve that. But it was a rough start for the second time. The pen dried up again. I was ready to write up a mean review on Amazon about this Faber-Castell pen. After all, I paid good discounted money for it. But I thought, okay, first I want to soak it in some more hot water. Maybe I can get it running again and just get some drawing done before I started complaining. At this point, I used around half of the blue ink cartridge. When soaking in hot water, there was still black ink coming out of my pen, which made me think, wait a minute, maybe India ink is not supposed to go into a fountain pen? And guess what? After a quick search, I learned that indeed, India ink does not belong in fountain pens. So I am very sorry, Faber-Castell, for even thinking of accusing you. Obviously, I am the big dummy here. Sadly, my pen still dries up every now and then. I hope that this is only a temporary thing and slowly it will fix itself. But for now, it is a bit annoying when halfway through a drawing it dries up. But this is a self-inflicted wound and I will have to live with it for a while. At least I hope only for a while. So back to the drawing part. All the sketches you see me draw here are studies from Pinterest photos. As I said before, I want to get better at visualizing things in my head before I sketch stuff. So I thought I'll start by doing some studies, just ease into it. Also, I know that I am somewhat capable of replicating stuff that I see, so I will not start my blue ink sketching journey feeling disappointed and defeated, but on a somewhat happy note. Also, I just watched Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, as you can see on these last couple of sketches. Really amazing movie. A must see for all animation drawing enthusiasts, aside of course from all the webheads out there. Once again, poses are taken from Pinterest, movie screenshots, and even some Spider-Man Miles Morales video game screenshots. Dynamic poses, especially Spidey poses, are not something I will ever be able to draw without reference. But if you like any of these sketches and would like to check them out in high resolution, head over to my Patreon where I have them uploaded. Speaking of, I want to express my gratitude to all my patrons. Your support means a lot to me. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any comments or questions, please don't hesitate to reach out and leave those in the comment section down below. I always enjoy hearing your ideas and answering your questions. But as always, the most important thing is for you to have a great time, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.